What is going on, guys? Similar World Legends here, back with another ranking video. This is an interesting ranking video I thought about doing for a while now, honestly. I thought this would be a fun one to do, and that is basically look back at all the movies I saw early and rank them what's the best. Again, similar to what I've done in other rankings based on each movie I saw in order when I saw them. Yeah, why not talk about which movies I enjoyed, dive any if any movies probably gotten better or worse since I first saw them. So I thought it'd be a fun idea to do this video. Where basically I look back all the movies I got to see at early screenings, or movies in general I got to see like a little bit early before they actually comes out in theaters. So I thought this would be a fun video to do. So on the end, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I would generally love to know what you guys thought of all these movies down below. Let me know some of your favorite, least favorite movies you got to see at early screenings, or films you got to see early in general. So, again, I'm going to go in order when I saw them. I think I started doing it around 2016, which is around, I think on 2016 is when I started doing this, honestly. Well, it's, a lot less, fortunately, since, COVID hit, honestly. I mean, I, of course, have seen a couple, but, yeah. But I still hope you guys enjoy, nonetheless. And the first movie we're talk about is Ice Age Collision Course. Yes. And it's the worst Ice Age movie. Obviously, you can tell me mentioned that I ran out of this movie, so yeah, it's probably gonna go at the bottom of the list because it's probably the only movie on the list I can say is just downright terrible, honestly. Because I mean, it's Ice Age. And the first movie I got to see in an early screening was Doctor Strange. Yeah, I drove like 45 minutes to see this movie, honestly, and I was told like not actually see a movie like this, honestly, but at least not that far, honestly. This was the first movie in theaters I actually got to see. And I always liked Doctor Strange, honestly. Like, I loved it a lot when it came out, but I think I liked it a lot less to probably watch it, so I think I put it on the low end MCU movies, but it's a movie I still look back on fondly. Again, it pretty much feels like a Phase 1 MCU movie that just got straight to Phase 3, that just got set to Phase 3, honestly. You really do feel that. They feel like the most formulaic MCU movie that we have gotten, honestly, and that big, obviously, not about it, here to talk to you, but... And it's definitely the most visually creative MCU movie. In terms of the visuals, it's generally fantastic. Honestly. And but I don't think Doctor Strange as the character is not the most engaging character. Like, he feels like kind of Tony Stark-esque. Like, I don't think Doctor Strange stands out to his more later appearances, like, like his appearance with Thor Ragnarok and Infinity War and Endgame, and even in the sequel. And the villains are the most interesting in the world. Again, the visuals and the fun moments and of course the Domon sequence do definitely make up for it. Next up, we have The Edge of 17, and I'm actually not going to say much about this movie because I do plan on actually making a video on this movie itself, honestly. Again, I don't know what I'm going to have it before after I get this video out, honestly, because I have so many ideas for videos at the moment, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, before this video comes out or after it comes out, I probably will have a video discussing have a video essay discussing how underrated and underappreciated this movie is. But to support, The Edge of 17 is an incredible coming-age movie. I do expect to see probably be high on this list, honestly. It was one of my favorite movies of 2016. It's an incredible coming-age movie. And it's one of the most unique ones I've ever seen, honestly, with great characters, compelling arcs, and actually has like very solid humor, and it's just a overall great movie that basically is the best of this genre has to offer. I don't have that much to say honestly, but I do plan on making his own video. But I'm not sure before after I get this video out, but we'll see how it goes. And then we have Arrival, which of course is directed by Denis Villeneuve. And fun fact, and I might explain this one in a future video, but there was a time, honestly, where I never was really a fan of Denis Villeneuve, honestly, to where I adored Prisoners. I think Prisoners is an exceptional movie. I think it was actually my favorite movie of 2013, for the longest time, at least before I saw The Tale of the Princess Kaguya, when I watched all of Ghibli's movies for the first time when COVID started. And for the longest time, I really just hated Enemy and Sicario, and I think it was more because I was trying to get myself in the good graces of some friends, honestly, that were really hate on those movies. That was a weird time when it comes to my movie and stuff. Again, maybe I might explain that in the future video, but yeah, but that's moving on autistic, man, but. But not again, for say that one of the people that they did now do is one of the best directors working today. Pretty much every movie he's making is exceptional. Again, Prisoners, like I mentioned before, I have from new appreciation for Enemy and Sicario. Of course, but on 2049 was exceptional as well, and I love the Dune movies. I think I put them both on my favorite movies of those years. And he's, of course, started a new James Bond movie, which I'm, of course, very excited for. And for me, though, Arrival has always been his magnum opus. He's always been my favorite. Of course, a lot of people go more towards man. That would be number 2 for me. But Arrival is still an exceptional movie. Truly a wonderful film that has incredible moments. A truly wonderful movie that has like so many incredible moments. It's definitely different than your typical alien invasion movie. I still say about Amy Adams got snubbed for the Oscar nomination because she probably one of my favorite female films of that year, honestly. Even Jeremy Renner, that was great as well. Again, the movie is like it's not like action filled. It's not like explosions like most alien invasion movies. It's more of a somber movie. It's more of a methodical movie and all that stuff. But it really works, honestly. And even the twist in the third act was really mind blowing when I first saw it. Honestly, it was this incredible movie that again, if it wasn't that What If and that year came out, it probably would have been my favorite that year. Actually, again, we'll definitely talk about that film in a little bit, but again, Arrival is a truly exceptional film, and definitely to be high up on this ranking. And the next film to talk about is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Man, do you remember the days where Harry Potter was a beloved franchise? Do you remember those days? I'm not going to get to the nitty-gritty details, because we all know the nitty-gritty details, but yeah, by the time when now it's pretty much hard to like talk about and enjoy Harry Potter nowadays. Of course, this was also the first of a 5-film planned trilogy, honestly. 5-film franchise, honestly, and we only had 3 of them so far, and I think the other 2 movies are just dead at this point. Which is fortunate, because I think they actually got a pretty good start, honestly. As the first Fantastic Beasts, I think, is a great movie, in my opinion. I think it's actually a film I always enjoy coming back to. It's a fun adventure movie, while it does have its issues. It's a pretty fun prequel movie, too. It's actually a pretty fun prequel. I think the characters are very likable, have great chemistry, great humor, there's some great solid action sequences. The visuals on the Fantastic Beasts itself were fantastic. Yes, again, and the especially on those on are also great as well. Again, the visuals are just exceptional. And it just puts a big smile on my face when I come back to it, honestly. And I don't really have too much to say about this one, honestly. But I still like it, unfortunately. Of course, the sequels were not so great. In fact, the part of the only Harry Potter movies I actually am not a fan of. But the original one, Fantastic Beasts, is still a pretty good movie, in my opinion. And now we get to a film that, honestly, it's also my favorite movie ended up being my favorite movie of 2016, and that's La La Land. I still think La La Land is the best movie to come out in 2016. The reason I say that because honestly, I feel like it's one of those things I feel like a little bit everyone had this movie as their favorite movie that year, honestly, but now I feel like people just kind of died down on this movie, mostly because of the whole Moonlight incident that happened at the Oscars. Which I think we all know what happened that day when basically La La Land won Best Picture and going to Moonlight, which yeah, that's oh man. But anyways, but yeah. After watching it, La La Land is still my favorite movie of 2016. It's probably my favorite musical period of all time. Like I might make my own video of this movie at some point down the road, but La La Land is a truly exceptional movie in my opinion. They pretty much shows those magnum opus, and what makes me excited. Like this film would probably be my favorite movie of the years, honestly. And one of course, there's other 2 movies not like been my favorite movies of the years. I think First Man barely made my best film 2018. I think that Babylon I've only seen once, and I wasn't really favorite Babylon. So I think La La Land has great characters, great story, exceptional music, songs I still have stuck in my head to this very day. Like Another Sun still plays in my head randomly to this very day. But the musical aspect is incredible. Again, the music moments themselves are great, and the storytelling is also pretty good as well. And of course, the ending, while people did not like the ending for some reason, I absolutely adore for being different. So yeah, La La Land is a truly exceptional movie. Now, I might make my own video of this movie as well, to why this movie is probably my favorite musical of all time. I do mean that. Overall, La La Land is, again, truly exceptional movie. And now we get to one of the more disappointing films I saw last screening, and that is Passengers. Yeah, Passengers. A film I actually was pretty curious about, honestly. And the film I actually has a plan for most because it is like a Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence in this movie. And the concept seems pretty interesting, basically. My concept seems pretty interesting. Basically, 2 people end up waking up on years before they're supposed to, and then they end up trying to survive this and everything, and trying to fight this and that and everything, and also falling in love. The trailers actually end up being like more misleading than you remembered actually, which I did not realize actually until I looked back on it, which is the Chris Pratt character just woke up from the pod, and then basically was so alone, he decided to wake up Jennifer Lawrence's character when learning about her. Yeah, that's not creepy at all, and that's not just terrible. And then, yeah, like you really don't blame her reaction when she's finding out about it. And the film being like sexy and everything is just not really as sexy as you feel like it should be. And it's not a bad movie by any means, honestly. Like it definitely does have its moments. Again, the actors are great. Again, the chemistry is solid, and then definitely also some solid visuals and everything like that. But the story just ended up not being that compelling, honestly. And it's just, and the ending is just kind of whatever. Again, not really don't have much to say about, but Passages is just, it's decent. Decent. And next one we're going to talk about is Patriots Day, which of course was the third movie at the time by the duo of Peter Berg and Mark Wahlberg. This was like the third like true story-based movie. I mean, I remember when having these actors here actually making good movies. I remember those because obviously they had Lone Survivor, which was a fantastic movie, and Deepwater Horizon, which I think was one that was close to making my best films of that year. Yeah, I think Patriots Day in general, I think Patriots Day, made that list, honestly, if I remember correctly. And for good stuff, because they didn't move it. Like, it's basically like a true story based on the like Boston Marathon bombing, which, you know, is a pretty tragic event, honestly. And I just saw what the people were going through for that time and everything, and it's pretty emotional stuff, actually. Also, fun fact with this screening, actually, again, this is from I got to see a month early, and I got to meet Austin Putnam, which, what's up? If guys don't know who Austin Putnam is, like, what the hell are you doing? The reason I mention him is that he is the reason I'm doing YouTube in the first place. Like, his videos inspired me to do YouTube content. And it's awesome that I lived in the same area as him. Like, that is insane, actually. But he was a great guy. Always made me feel so welcome whenever I see each other, honestly. Like, when I first met him, like, he was just a very welcoming guy. He was just as nice and friendly as he was, you know, on his videos. So I never actually kind of take a picture with him for some reason, but I thought they found the dimension, honestly. But yeah, but Patriots Day, it's an incredible movie. It's still definitely the best of the movies, honestly. Mark Wahlberg probably gets like a top tier performance here. Even Sean Monahan is great here as well. And even the people that end up, you know, bombing everything, like they do kind of try to make the film a little sympathetic, but not in a way to like, you know, hey, it's understandable, honestly. They're just like misunderstood. No, but you just get more of a reason to why, you know, again, it's still a terrible thing. Hell, even Melissa Benoist also gets great performance here as well, proving her incredible capabilities aside from Supergirl. Yeah, it is an incredible emotional gut punch of a movie, and it does a great job at honoring the people who lost in that bombing. So yeah, Patriots Day is an incredible movie. Patriots Day is a truly incredible. I also know that a lot of movies I saw on screens ended up being some of my favorite movies of those years, honestly. Well, of course, not all of them, which we'll get into. Yeah, it's good to know that. The next thing I'm talking about is Silence, which was at the time which was directed by Martin Scorsese, and which was directed by Martin Scorsese, Adam Driver, Andrew Garfield, and Liam Neeson. Honestly, and I remember it's not a film I absolutely loved when I first saw it, but after like you watch a couple times when I watched every month Scorsese movie when the Killers of the Flower Moon came out. Again, that was something that I never watched, honestly, and I totally got how incredible director this guy ends up being, honestly. And I pretty much enjoy a lot of movies. Of course, he definitely have a few movies that aren't exactly great, but most of the movies are just masterpieces. Like, despite his takes on it, like, there's a reason why Martin Scorsese is one of the best filmmakers out there. Fortunately, Silence is one of the movies I mentioned is just film I'm not really a fan of, honestly. It's a film, well, of course, Martin Scorsese known for making, like, long movies. This one really feels long, honestly. It's just, a lot of scenes feel incredibly dragged out. A lot of scenes just feel just, Like, the film probably would be a not good movie. Voice acting, the cinematography was fantastic, the directing was great, and the performances from all the leads are just incredible. Even the score was great, and there are some incredible sequences in the movie, but you really do feel the pacing at a lot of points here. So, yeah, that's basically all I can say about Silence. Not bad, I mean, by any means, but definitely one of Scorsese's weaker efforts, in my opinion. And then for the last movie I saw on the screen in 2016, we have A Monster Calls. A film I never actually heard of, actually, because it's kind of made me a little more invested into, like, J.A. Bonner, of course, Leon did Fallen Kingdom. I don't remember if we've done anything else Oh, yeah, he actually did a movie called Cyrus No came a couple years ago, which I don't remember if I watched or not. So, but he definitely will show be a promising director with his other two movies, The Old Fashioned and Impossible, also being really good movies. And you have Force Fallen Kingdom, Fallen Kingdom. Yeah, but this is by far his best movie, honestly. Like, this is an incredible movie, honestly. And I definitely need to go back and rewatch at some point because I was like blown away by like basically sorry. Another movie also has Liam Neeson playing this like giant who tells like different stories to his kid who's going through a while with his grieving mother and his grandma, be Captain A-hole. Honestly, him just going through a lot of trauma and everything, and the story being a way to like help him grieve and everything about possibly losing his mom, played by Felicity Jones. I think it's a pretty personal story that, has really deep moments. And the visuals of the stories are just incredible. Like, the visuals on the monster in general, it's just, wow. Some of the best visuals you'll ever see, in my opinion. But the story's compelling, despite the actions, you end up caring about these characters, you end up really being invested in them. And it's just a really personal told story. Again, I don't remember this movie also made my best for 2016 list, but I think it definitely did make that. But I believe it did make the top 10, honestly. But of all the films on this list, this is definitely one of the more underrated ones that I feel you all should definitely check out if you haven't. And now we're going to talk about 2017 movies I see, honestly. And I'm sure with these two entries, because both the movies are not exactly good movies, and to be honest, I don't really have too much to say about them. First up, we have Underworld Blood Wars, which, yes, I did see a bit early, and yeah. I really don't remember what happened to this movie, honestly. It's that forgettable. Yeah, but like honestly, it's probably gonna be like on the bottom, honestly. Just yeah. And probably the same with Triple X returning in the cage. Yeah, did you remember they released that third Triple X movie with Vin Diesel returning? And they trying to make this into another like popular franchise with Vin Diesel. Yeah, I remember those days too. Honestly, I guess that one bit I remember actually being fun when I first saw it, but yeah, after rewatching it, honestly, it's kind of a guilty pleasure kind of fun, honestly, but overall, the memory I just don't really remember too much about, honestly. I do remember the other bro being kind of annoying here. Vin Diesel in the cage being insanely unlikable at times throughout this movie. And then, like, trying to to be, like, a part of the franchise, especially with having, like, a not popular franchise and trying to be a turn of form, honestly. And it has some, like, really weird and having some moves. It's just, like, it's one of the movies that you don't really know what they're trying to do here. I mean, the action's solid here. It definitely is fun if you turn your brain off, for sure. But as a whole, it's just not really that good of a movie. And next one I'm talking about is John Wick, Chapter 2. As I haven't seen John Wick Chapter 2 a few days earlier. And honestly, I do love the John Wick movies, honestly. I think all the movies are like fantastic, honestly. Of course, I know what I'm going to be, honestly, but overall, the John Wick movies are still fantastic. And Chapter 2, I would say nowadays, I would prefer the original, just ever teensy, weensy, easy, so slightly. Chapter 2 is under scoff at, honestly, with the incredible action, the great villains, the really good story on, so that really sets up the future of this franchise. Again, Keanu Reeves being like the badass character that he is, and throwing that, yeah, these movies are just fucking badass. Like the action in these movies are truly exceptional, and Chapter 2 is definitely some of my favorites, honestly, throughout. And yeah, it's the definition of how you do a sequel, right? Like I said, I do teensy weensy for the original. Again, Chapter 2, nothing to scoff at. And I would go from an action movie to a horror movie with Get Out! Because yeah, I'm talking about Get Out, Jordan Peele's directorial debut, which I'll say it's still his best directorial effort, honestly, by a long shot. I do enjoy Us and Nope, honestly, but Get Out is definitely a film that basically feels like got the right balance, honestly. I think the problem that the problems with Us and Nope, I do definitely like those movies, honestly. I probably do enjoy them probably more than most people, it seems like. But I can agree with the problem with those movies that they basically trying to be like Jordan Peele times to really leap into the metaphors, and while I don't have any issues with films being metaphorical, not at all, honestly. I think I think he kind of goes a bit overboard with those metaphors at times. And trying to make something simple seem like a simple thing to so grander than it ever was, and then you end up losing intrigue because of it. This one feels like it was more balanced, honestly. I think Chloe did a great performance, not Oscar worthy, but it's still a good performance. Again, Allison Williams was great here as well. Again, the family aspect was great. Again, this is what the metaphors and little things were great. Also, Will I Howard was a huge standout here as well, in terms of the being aspects and finding like good comedic charm for this type of movie. Any one of them that really terrified you, when not, and they're not in like the jump scare or just the way it does it more like a psychological, metaphorical sense, and it does it in a pretty effective way. So yeah, Get Out, it definitely still is Jordan Peele's best movie, and it's definitely one of the best horror movies to come out in the 2010s. And now we get to one of the more underrated ones on this list, and that is Power Rangers. Yeah, I actually like the Power Rangers movie. And this is kind of someone that really is more of a casual Power Rangers person. Like I watched some of the shows growing up, but I wouldn't call myself like a diehard Power Rangers fan like a lot of people are. Or I'm not like a diehard fan honestly. Like I said, I watched some of the shows, but even then I never really was a huge fan of some of those honestly. So yeah. But I was surprised that in Fight Green Spring, I actually ended up liking the movie a lot more than I expected. Now it does have its issues for sure. I do think the visuals can be a bit spotty at times. I think the tone kind of clashes where it tries to be more of a branded take, yet tries to go for more of the like goofy, campy thing that Power Rangers is known for. I think the tones do kind of clash, I think most on the back half of the movie, when you actually go for the actual Power Rangers aspect. And I'm not really big on the Elizabeth Banks as the proposed star. Not that she's a bad portrayal of the character, but it's not really more of a brilliant player. And it's still hilarious at the end to have the Krispy Kreme be like the plot device of the movie, having be like the MacGuffin. By the way, I'm not making that, by the way, that actually is what happens in the movie. But it does make up for it by being generally funny, having some really good, wholesome, grounded moments, having some really talented actors play these Power Rangers, having great chemistry with each other. There's also I think RJ Styler being a great example. He actually plays an autistic character that actually is portrayed very well, actually, and not exaggerated. Yeah, RJ Styler plays an autistic character in this movie, and it's actually pretty well portrayed, actually. Like, really portrayed, actually. Like, it's one of the trust. I feel like we actually should talk about more because of how well done it actually is. But yeah, actually so fun, honestly. Like, Bryan Cranston as Zordo was perfect casting. And I forget the robot character at the moment, but even he was pretty funny as well. Again, coming from someone that's a casual Power Rangers person, this is actually a pretty fun movie that I do enjoy coming back to. And honestly, it is kind of a shame that this movie kind of bombed and we didn't get an actual continuation. But I actually would love to see more of these characters, actually. And we get to that movie that I actually forgot I got to see an early screen, actually, and that is Ghost in the Shell, which of course, obviously is the continuation, which of course is a live action adaptation of the anime movie. Which looking back, I don't know if I watched the original before seeing this movie. Honestly, to be honest, I generally do not remember honestly if I watched this movie before I saw the original. Honestly, of course, the original is still fantastic. Now that I have finally seen it, I just don't remember if I seen it before or afterwards. Honestly, and it's fine, honestly. Like, it's perfectly decent, watchable. Like, in terms of anime adaptations, it's definitely one of the better ones that we have gotten. Like, I wouldn't say it does like a huge disservice to the original. Besides Skull Hands' performance and the great visuals, I totally got this movie in existence until I look back on watching it. Sorry. But what's not forgettable is the Fate of the Furious. Yeah, I got to see the 8th Fast and the Furious movie at an early screening. It was actually pretty cool actually kind of see a Fast and the Furious movie early, actually. And I'm someone that actually love this franchise, honestly, and I'm someone that still enjoys this franchise, honestly. Again, while I love, like, relatable stuff and emotional stuff, sometimes I like a dumb, fun movie. And while I totally get the issues with this series, honestly, especially towards the later entries after Furious 7, like I said, Furious 7 should have been the proper end of this franchise, honestly. Even I will admit that. Even someone that even enjoys a couple of movies after this movie, even I will admit that. But Furious is still a really fun movie, honestly. Like, it really goes insanely over the top with, like, the spectacle a lot of times, but I still enjoyed it, honestly. I still had a good time. Honestly. Well, I'm not being, like, intrigued, like, the Vin Diesel, like, actually turning on his family and everything, but of course, obviously, there might have been a reason for that, and in reality, it kind of makes sense if you think about it, but yeah. And yeah, I think Charlie Down was a pretty solid villain, honestly, and I feel like she should have been more on the forefront. Unfortunately, they don't really do much with her afterwards, if I'm being honest, which is pretty disappointing. The actions are still fun and saying, well, they're very goofy and everything. I still enjoyed them. I still enjoyed the back and forth chemistry between Like, I still enjoyed the back and forth between a lot of the cast about this movie. I still do enjoy a lot of the characters here. They're still pretty hilarious. They still have fun banter with each other. And of course, we got the fun prison sequence between like The Rock and Satan, which is probably why they actually decided to make a spin-off movie between both these characters. With Hobbs and Shaw, which funny enough, is actually one of my favorites in the franchise. Actually, I think it's in my top 3 of the franchise. Actually, I'm not making it up. Actually, one quote, and the story doesn't make sense. Honestly, it has just a lot of logic things and everything, and it can't be too ridiculous. Even the basic kind of drag at points might be great action at points. Boy, this film I still have a fun time with, honestly. Well, I probably like a bit less of more rewatches. I mean, The Fate of Furious is still a fun movie. Fortunately, the franchise has gone down. Afterwards, with no F9 not being that great, well, I still enjoy Fast X. From looks of, I don't even know we're actually going to get anything to this franchise from the looks of it. And next, we're going to talk about is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the second MCU movie to make this list, and also the last MCU movie you'll see on this list. And it's still pretty cool. It's another movie I got to see actually at an early screening, actually. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is still a fantastic movie. Like, it's definitely the weakest of the 3 Guardians movies, honestly, but it's a film I definitely grow a lot more appreciation the more I watch it, especially after Guardians Volume 3. As it being have more focus on Rocket and Yondu, and of course Yondu being an incredible part of this movie and having him be a more developed character, and his relationship with Peter and everything, and Eagle actually being an underrated villain, having some incredible emotional moments, some really great humorous moments, maybe just being a fun character as well, some really excellent action, some really fun back and forth throughout the movie. The movie that put a big grin in the face. It has some of the most funniest moments and even some of the most emotional moments in the entire MCU. Like what happens to Yondu in the movie, like it's probably one of the most emotional gut punch moments in the entire MCU. So Guardians Volume 2, well, that was the weakest of the Guardians movies. It's one I still absolutely adore. Yes. And then these next 2 movies are ones I overall don't have too much to say about, so I'm fine with both, honestly. The first one being King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, directed by Guy Ritchie. And it's a fun movie, honestly. Like, it's a movie I was a little back and forth on for a bit, honestly. But I think it's a fun movie. I think it's definitely one of his more underrated movies. But it's one I don't have much to say about. I don't think Irish style really works in King Arthur aspect. And I do see what they're trying to go for here. I think Charlie Hunnam was great. They'll definitely have some fun moments to be had here. But it's a movie I just don't really find being memorable by the end of the day. And it's crazy that they wanted this to be like a 6-movie series, apparently. And it bombed super hard. Yeah, King Arthur's a fun movie, but I just don't have too much to say about it. And same with Baywatch. Yeah, I can see Baywatch early, which... Yeah, I actually watched it for the first time while doing this video, and... Yeah, it doesn't really hold up well. It's... like I said, I probably like it more as a guilty pleasure, if I'm being honest, honestly. Like, it's kind of can be on so bad, it's hilarious. But at least this movie, you at least know what vibe they're going for. You at least know what they're trying to go for. Baywatch here. I mean, it's freaking Baywatch as well. Like, I don't think I ever watched. Like, I never watched the original show, honestly, but I do know what the show basically was. You know, just beach babes and bikinis and cops and crimes and everything like that. Like, maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's basically what I always say about Baywatch. They're watching Nicholas goes, Zac Efron, Rock. And there's also a new actress named Kelly Blunchbach, which I remember one person I used to know actually that was I remember there's one person I used to know actually that was only excited for Baywatch because of Kelly. Well, I don't know if that's the last name, but basically that girl that falls in love with that weird guy in the movie. I remember he was excited for this most interesting movie because of him, and now she's only praising the movie. That's more memorable hilarious than the actual movie itself. And now we get to the third and final MCU movie to make this list, and that is Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah, I got to see Spider-Man Homecoming a couple weeks before it actually came out, which was pretty exciting at the time, actually. I got to see the new Spider-Man movie before anyone else did. Which was pretty exciting because obviously I love Spider-Man, I love the character. Tom Holland Prince Award, so his own was great, and I still love Homecoming. Like I'll say, it's probably, like, I always say between this and Far From Home's problem. I'd say Far From Home's probably not at least fair, but Homecoming is still a pretty great honest. I think it's actually pretty underrated, actually, because I know some people really bash and hate on the Tom Holland betrayal movie, and honestly, that might be his own video at some point down the road. But it's a fun John Hughes coming of age movie that basically is John Hughes inspired. Tom Holland was great. The side characters are great. Which was one of the best films in the MCU. The Tony Stark's exclusion was actually pretty fun actually, and all that stuff. And I like Uncle Wade wins throughout the movie. I think it's actually pretty underrated what he ends up winning throughout the movie. Like I think the problems here, I think a bit oversaturated honestly, to why I think the pacing can't drag up some points honestly. Honestly, it's still a pretty fun movie that I do have a big grin on my face and I do enjoy coming back to. And now we have two movies I saw early 2017. The first one being an underrated movie actually, and that's Only the Brave, which is another true story movie actually on this list. I don't know, realize actually there's actually a few true story movies on this, but Only the Brave was basically a movie you guys don't know was a movie that came out in 2017. It's also Josh Brolin and Miles Teller, and it tells the story based on the Grandee Mountain hotshots. It's basically an incident with basically like 19 firefighters basically like dealing with the worst fire ever. 1920 members ended up dying in that fire, honestly. And it's also led by Joseph Krasinski, of course, as Top Maverick and F1, honestly. So the guy is basically a fantastic director nowadays. But Only the Brave thing is actually his most underrated movie. It's a really personal story actually, as it does a good job making the people feel like family, and then Miles Teller also gives a fantastic performance, make you actually care about his character by the end of it. Even John Gardner's movie does a pretty great job here as well. Some characters you wouldn't expect to be as dull as they are end up actually being developed. So when the actual fight sequence actually happens, which is one of the most tragic and most devastating scenes I've seen in all 2017, I think that scene is probably one of my favorite scenes that year. It's a pretty heartbreaking scene. And the final effects also are just incredible as well. They do a good job with character building, making you actually care for these characters, and to when it happens, it's heartbreaking. And I don't remember when I actually made my best films 2017 list, honestly, but it's definitely one of the underrated movies that I definitely do recommend checking out. And for the last movie I saw earlier in 2017, we have Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Welcome to the jungle, we got fun games. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. but yeah, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, which was a long-awaited sequel to the original Jumanji, which came out in 1995. And I don't think anybody was excited for this movie, especially, with The Rock, Kevin Hart, and by the cast, The Rock, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, and Karen Gillan here, be like, really, a Jumanji sequel? But overall, Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle was a pleasant surprise, actually. I actually enjoyed the movie a lot more than I expected, and I actually realized people had tons to get out, most because my mom's a huge fan of it. But it's a movie I still do enjoy when it comes on, and I think the cast does a pretty good job, honestly. They do a good job have arcs for these characters for them to go through, honestly, and they do a good job with these characters in their arcs. It's also come with start off Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart aspect. I mean, I say more Central Intelligence 2016 started that, but this is where we got more of these guys together, honestly, for better or for worse. But Jack Black was easy to show still here, honestly, playing the teenage girls playing him, which makes it pretty hilarious. Jack Black's one of those actors that he's likable in anything, honestly, even in his worst movies. They can't help but just love the guy. But the attitudes are fun, honestly. I like the different things it goes for here, honestly. I think my only issue is that I don't think it really follows the rules it sets up, honestly, towards the back half of the movie. And the romance they try to sell between The Rock and Karen Gillan's characters and the actors in general, wasn't really a fan of, honestly. I mean, he also got Nick Jonas here as well. He was also pretty good as well. And I like the little dedication they gave to Rob Williams' character in that movie. So, But overall, a pretty fun movie, actually, that I was not expecting to enjoy much like I did, honestly. Hell, I enjoyed The Next Level, honestly, despite being a bit of a step down. And I'm actually kind of looking to see what we get in the next Jumanji movie, actually. Which comes out, I believe, 2020, I think next year, the year after, if I remember correctly. But overall, Welcome to the Jungle, pretty good movie. And that's all for 2017. Now we get to the film I saw in 2018, which honestly, not as much, actually, I saw in 2018. 2018 was kind of a weird year. I think it was for a lot of people, so yeah, I don't think I saw as much as I did, honestly. I don't think I've done much in 2018, like this. Anyway, we'll worry about that when we get there. Yeah, we get to another underrated movie to talk about, and that is Love, Simon. A film I never actually heard of, honestly, but it's starring Nick Robinson, Ken Langford, and Benjamin Miller, and it's basically about a guy who ends up who actually is gay and tries to hide it, and ends up connecting with this guy online called Blue, and then the guy, Benjamin, ends up into his friend group because of it, and then Simon ends up having to like do some not so great things, honestly, but it's also the mystery of trying to find like who this guy is actually, which actually has to be a lot more compelling than expected. Of him trying to like, who exactly is this guy? Who exactly is this mysterious guy that he's talking to? It's actually a very kind of mystery, and I'm being very satisfied by the end of it. And it's probably the first time I also took Nick Robinson's acting very seriously, actually. I don't think I really enjoyed much. He's been on, so I don't think I really enjoyed much of Jurassic World, honestly, despite how much I enjoyed that movie. But it's the first time I actually thought him to be a really good actor, actually. But the friend group ended up being pretty interesting characters. You also got Josh Duhamel and Jennifer Carpenter, who are some of the better teen parents that we have seen in these type of movies. Or at least the better parents in these type of movies that we want to see. Usually parents are usually not really the main focus, honestly, or portrayed differently than how they were portrayed. But they actually kind of really caring people. And the scenes that Simon ends up, and the scenes they have with Simon for after when he ends up feeling his went towards back out of the movie are pretty emotional scenes. And it ends a very, very nice way. You get some pretty strong moments. You get some pretty solid music, and of course the Ferris wheel scene is one of my favorites to come out that year. I think I'm currently in my top 50 best movie moments of 2010s, which I might end my videos at some point. But yeah, also it's a pretty underrated coming-age movie. I don't really have too much issues with me because that Benjamin's character I feel like could have been kind of did a little too quickly. But other than that, I really enjoyed everything else about this movie. Also, I do recommend checking out his kind of sequel series, Love Victor, that's not really focusing on his characters, but focusing on, other characters in the same school. So I still recommend checking out Love Victor. It's a pretty great show. Next movie we're going to talk about is Tomb Raider. Yeah, this was the latest Tomb Raider adaptation starring Alicia Vikander. I think this was one of the last major things we got to see her in, honestly, before she decided to not do acting anymore, honestly. It's not be as big a star as she was, honestly, which honestly good for her. Gotcha. And yeah, I definitely do enjoy the other two adaptations. This one's trying to more of a grounded approach, more on the take on the newer Tomb Raider games, which that's $40. I actually never played a Tomb Raider game. And there's definitely one great thing I could definitely say about this movie is that it actually made me want to play the other Tomb Raider games, because after I ended up buying the 2013 game, then I bought Rise of the Tomb Raider, and of course I bought Shadow Tomb Raider the year it came out, honestly, and I playing all three of those games, which I actually do enjoy. Despite the issues I had with Shadow, I still do enjoy that. I still do enjoy the other ones as well. Rise being probably one of my favorite games, honestly. And eventually, I think when COVID started, I ended up playing through all the other games for the first time. Game, which I enjoy. I think I still have a tier list on the. I think I still have a tier list video where basically I rank all the 200 games. If you guys want to check that video out, want to know my more detailed thoughts on the Tomb Raider games. But the movie itself, I thought it was good actually. It's actually, I still do enjoy it, honestly. I think Alicia Vikander was great as a character. I thought they did recreate a lot of great sequences from the games, honestly. Maybe a little too directly, but I thought they were still great as well. The whole issue of Chester O'Fonnell, that was pretty interesting throughout the movie. And maybe I thought the Chester really bad some moments. Again, the story, when you really think about it, doesn't really make much sense if you actually think about it. I'm not getting too much of details, but if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, but yeah. And Walter Gunn's villain's not really that great of a villain, if I'm being honest. But overall, the Tomb Raider 2018 movie is a pretty solid movie. There's one that's better villain adaptation to we had gotten. And hey, and maybe we'll get into the franchise, so there's that. And the next movie we're going to talk about is definitely one of the most surprising ones on this list, and that's Blockers. I think Blockers being a movie I was surprised I loved as much as I did because, the movie basically were based on a lot parents and they're trying to stop the kids having sex, and from the trailer it made it like it was going to be like a pretty not fun movie with terrible humor, and it also helped around time around how 2017 I had a lot. Well, back in 2017 I had like 4 or 5 already comedies in my worst list in that year. So already comedies really one of the best reception in 2017. The 2018 was the first time when Game Night was also not a surprise, but Walkers was definitely the most surprise. I was not expecting to enjoy as much as I did. Again, it basically is like the female version of Superbad, mostly when you focus on the daughters, honestly, but that's basically what the film is, actually. Again, the parents actually have more understandable reasons to why they decided to do it, honestly. They also have good chemistry with each other, they also have some fun back and forth. While they're crazy and not good at what they're trying to do, they at least have understandable motivations. And the humor is a lot better than I expected, actually. I don't think what every joke's hit, but it's more consistent than I expected. And the movie has had a lot of heart to it. Like a film like this, I was not expecting. And they were talking about John Cena, but the guy can act, and especially with this in Trainwreck, he can definitely do great on comedic fronts. As long as obviously he's given the right material, obviously. But yeah, the guy can prove that he can do comedy pretty well, actually. So yeah, the movie's consistently hilarious, heartwarming. Again, the film, again, the daughters also had better chemistry and better characters than expected as well. And it was just a nice, fun, great comedy. Again, one of the biggest surprises to come out that year. And now we go to another video adaptation, and I'm saying too early this year, and that is Rampage. You know, no one from I kind of forgot I actually watched, honestly, I heard it was great, but yeah, Rampage, which is based on the arcade game, actually, another action Bruce on the Rock. And again, it's another one Bruce that's basically just perfect dumb fun. If you go into this movie expecting to be just like perfectly dumb fun, then that's basically what it is. Just perfect dumb fun. Again, it embraces what it is. It does a good job of what it's trying to do. The gorilla's effects are pretty impressive. I like that it should be hands with the Rock the movie, and it's basically just the Rock being the Rock. But you know, some can be a good thing, some can be a bad thing. Honestly, this is one of those better ones. Honestly, the villains kind of suck. Honestly, I didn't really have any anger towards that. Honestly, but the action, especially that gorilla action, was pretty great. And Jeffrey Morgan easily stole every scene he was in. Like Jeffrey Morgan, you could tell what movie he was in, and it was just hamming up to the F degree. And I mean that in the best possible way. So yeah, Rampage, a pretty solid movie. Yeah, and another one of the better video adaptations. And another film I kind of forgot I actually saw earlier, and that was Deadpool 2. And in fact, I got to see Deadpool 2 a couple weeks earlier. It was pretty exciting, because obviously this runtime, but I love the original Deadpool, and honestly, I still do love the original Deadpool. It's one of my favorite superhero comics ever. One of my favorite comics, period, honestly. I absolutely adore the original movie, honestly. Like, I kind of wish I saw it in tears, but the original was definitely hilarious and just charming and just great. And I will say what you're gonna do with the sequel. And while I was repeating the three Deadpool movies, this is probably the weakest one, honestly. Deadpool 2 is still a great movie. Like, it's just more the comedy's not as consistent as the first one, honestly. I mean, I really didn't care too much about the actual kid character here, but I still kept the same charm of the original. Like that opening scene where basically, you know, they're killing someone and they're like, what the fuck is she doing? That opening scene was hilarious. The action is still great. The back and forth between the characters are great. Cable was a pretty great addition. Even and all the new characters in there are pretty good. Like Peter is such an icon in this movie. Like, Anything in the Jungle, that was pretty hilarious as well. That's why, again, some comedy doesn't hit. I think like the finale, the ending sequence does go on a bit too long, but it's still a great comedy, honestly. Especially with the ending sequence, that's just one of the most hilarious things that any superhero movie, probably any movie has done. Period. So yeah, Deadpool 2, really great movie. And next up we have is Hotel Transylvania 3: Summer Vacation. The third Hotel Transylvania movie again. I don't have much to say about this one, honestly, but I still do enjoy the Hotel Transylvania movies. I think I did like top 10 best moments list, so you guys want to check that out. And I'm probably one to actually, despite it not being in his hotel, honestly, I actually surprisingly enjoyed this movie. Like, I feel like this movie I shouldn't enjoy as much as I do, but hey, it's fun, it's charming, hilarious, has some pretty fun character moments. Again, that ending sequence is probably my favorite moment in the entire franchise. So yeah, pretty fun movie. Next, we're going to talk about is a number I was happy to see, and that is 8th grade. Which, unfortunately, I think it's the last time I actually saw Austin, like I mentioned earlier. But, you know, it's what it is. But, again last couple, year before COVID, I was definitely a bit up and down, but it is what it is. Again, 8th grade is also another movie I'm not really going to talk about, honestly, as much, because I do also plan on making a video on this movie at some point down the road. But I'm saying this probably might be my favorite, honestly, though. This might be my favorite movie of the videos This might be my favorite movie of this ranking, honestly, because it is probably one of the most personal, relatable movies I've ever seen in my life. Probably the most relatable movie I've seen in my life. It's probably my favorite A20. It's my favorite A24 movie. It has some of the most relatable shit ever. It has some pretty funny moments. It has some pretty charming, awkward moments, but in the best possible way. Kale's a character I relate to immensely. And it has both of them does a fantastic job of directing. It makes it feel so real and so relatable to a lot of people. Again, I do plan on making this as own video down the road, honestly, so sorry if I don't have too much to say about it now, but yeah, I definitely have a lot to say when I get that video at some point. And now we get to another movie now I'm happy I got to see actually early, and that is Bumblebee. Yeah, I can see Bumblebee a couple weeks ago before it came out in theaters. This of course around the time where Transformers didn't really have the best reception. So obviously, the Bayformer movies, honestly, like I still, I want to enjoy the first one. Don't really care about anything else, honestly. Like, I think like the Last Night's probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, honestly. I'm not think the movie is just a disaster on all fronts. But there was definitely some hope in this movie, mostly because they always started by Travis Knight, and before this, they Q on Two Strings, a very underappreciated anime movie 2016 that you all should check out. And Bumblebee, for a long time, Bumblebee was my favorite Transformers movie. I mean, it wasn't much competition, but it was my favorite one, at least until Transformers 1 came out. I think that's now my favorite Transformers movie. But this is definitely close. But Bumblebee is definitely a close second. Well, because they're actually, just while we still focus on human characters here, they actually made the human characters, actually interesting. I mean, cliched, but at least interesting. And Hannah Safran's also a capable actress. She told a lot of emotion she's doing for the movie. Felicia and Bumblebee was very fun throughout, especially the way they decided to have these characters bond throughout the movie. Even John Cena was actually pretty fun. I think I enjoyed his stuff a lot more actually than why I watched it. I watched it. The other Transformers actually were pretty fun. Like, from the first 10 minutes alone, the first 10 minutes alone were already much better than the other Transformers because the videos actually were pretty good. They actually developed these characters and they actually really dive deep into them. And it's actually just fun and engaging to watch. Like, it basically is reminiscent of the Iron Giant E.T. honestly, but still good movie to take inspiration from, honestly. And even though it still feels like it does its own thing, honestly. It has a couple nice surprises as well. So yeah, Bumblebee is one movie I definitely do appreciate the more I watch it. Until what Transformers 1 is not my personal favorite Transformers movie. Bumblebee is definitely close second. Say, at least you got a couple of great Transformers movies out of this. Yeah, Bumblebee, fantastic movie. And now we get to the 2019 ones, and these are definitely a few interesting movies. And a couple of ones I actually forgot I saw earlier, actually, but let's talk about it anyway. First up, we have How to Train Your Dragon in the Hidden World. Yeah, I saw this movie a month before it came out, which was pretty exciting to see the proper conclusion to How to Train Your Dragon, which, despite the remakes, that got the viewer was actually smart enough to actually not let this franchise continue. Which I do appreciate and admire for that. I'll do boring until live action remakes, because I'm pretty sure we'll get a lot more of those, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, More Than Heroes, I think as much about this is probably my least favorite, honestly, of the How to Train Your Dragon movies. I do think this is still a fantastic movie that's a very satisfying conclusion to this trilogy. I know some people like to claim that, oh, Toothless fall in love with someone just leaving and some find dragons and not, it's like a betrayal, and it's like, no. I know some people think that, honestly. Like, I'm not the only one that think that, but please let me know I'm not the only one. Yeah, the animation is beautiful, the characters are still great, the fun back and forth is still great, it has probably debated the best villain in the entire franchise. Which, well, it's not high, but honestly, the villain is generally fantastic here. Again, the characters are still great, again, the relationship between Hero Toothless is still great, and has probably one of the most emotionally satisfying endings of the entire series. And one of the most emotionally satisfying endings out of any franchise. And the ending is still probably the best moment in the entire franchise for sure. But overall, fantastic movie. Probably my least favorite trilogy, but all the movies are fantastic. And now we go to another superhero movie, but this time it's Shazam! Yeah, we get to Shazam, which is a fantastic movie. Definitely one of the better DC movies we've gotten on. It's kind of funny on to that to just like despite the DCU being so very up and down, especially towards the later movies, we got some pretty good movies out of this universe by the end of it. Which Shazam being one of them, honestly. A film that put a big emphasis, like it basically is like big about superheroes, but that's definitely a good quality to have. And I think the character Billy is a very compelling character, and the family was a lot more developed than you would expect. The action is great, the comedy was great, the villain I think was actually pretty impressive. Again, this film was directed by David Ann Sandberg, who I think is an incredibly talented director. I'm all going to the other stuff and trying to see what a friend didn't end up working out. That's all I'm saying on that. Shazam in the end ended up being such a really fun movie, one that put the biggest grin on my face and made me smile, made me happy, and overall it was just a great time. It's definitely one of the better DCU movies for sure. Sequel not so much, but this one was at least still pretty good. And then we go to another surprising comedy I got to see early, and that is Long Shot. which is a movie that the more I think about it, the more I actually do enjoy it. Like, well, it's kind of a cliche comic movie called Long Shot, so it's basically where we see Seth Rogen basically getting fired from his job, and then he basically meets up with Charlize Theron, who actually used to be his babysitter, actually, which is pretty hilarious, honestly. And then basically he ends up becoming his journalist to her, and then basically they end up falling in love, despite the fact that, they're different people. Well, it is cliched, honestly. It's one thing, so I don't really have a problem with comedies being cliche, honestly. It's something that actually made me laugh. That's really all I care about for comedy, is they make me laugh. And this movie did definitely make me laugh. I was laughing my ass off throughout the majority of the runtime. Definitely one of the more consistent comedies I saw from 2010s, one that made me laugh and smile so much. And the comedy was really on point here. Like, Charlize Theron proved that she actually can be great and a comedic role, actually. And both of them do have better chemistry in fact. And also, O.J. Jackson Jr. literally stole the show a lot of scenes that he was in. Like, when he gets right material, he can really steal the show, honestly, with that, and along with Inglourious West. Another underrated movie to check out. But yeah, overall, Long Shot is a very consistently funny comedy that's another one I do recommend checking out. And now we go to another comedy, and that's Booksmart. And that movie I got to, and Long Shot, I got to see this movie like a couple weeks before it comes out. I think Long Shot I got to see actually a month before it actually came out in theaters, which is pretty insane actually. So, but yeah, Booksmart was so it's another movie that's also so consistently hilarious. It's really what basically two girls basically realized that they were studying so much, honestly. They realized they missed out on partying or having a good time, honestly, when they thought everyone was just like having fun, not doing the work. It turns out they're actually getting into colleges and everything. So they decided to have like a great night out before they graduate. But the film stars Bernie Goldstein and Kaylee Dever. And the film is actually consistently hilarious, actually. And the film also is very heartfelt and very fun and back and forth. The two little have great chemistry with each other as well. And the movie just put a bigger and face. It has some very unique stickers. I remember there's one sticker having dolls in the mix, which is that out of context, but that's just leave it at that. And it's also directed by was a directorial debut of Olivia Wilde, she's someone that could have had a great start. Of course, we all know what happened. Don't Worry, Darling, but Booksmart is also one of my favorite comedies of 2010s as well. One that is definitely just proves how you do an already comedy right. So if you have not tried Booksmart, I give a recommendation. Yeah, and then we got Yesterday. This is by Danny Boyle, and that film I was actually pretty excited for, and one I was happening actually early, honestly. And while it's not a film as great as I remember it to be, it's a film I still have a good time whenever I come back to it. Basically, a film where basically the music teacher basically, this music guy basically ends up not sure what he wants to do with music and everything, and he ends up singing, and then he ends up living it. Basically, something happened last night, and he ends up living in parallel universe where the Beatles never existed. When he ends up singing a couple of those songs, and he's like, wait, the Beatles never existed? And he ends up passing them a song, and it comes a World by Superstar. I'll say it's one of the films that does get less interesting the more it goes on, especially towards the third act. Honestly, and especially love Ed Sheeran, it's kind of weird to see him have like a big role in this movie. But it's a perfectly fun movie that has like really solid performances. The music's still great, because obviously the Beatles. I just wish it like done more with this concept overall. But it was a very fun movie that had a pretty nice heart to it. It got less interesting as it went on, but I know they were his best, but still a solid movie. And next up we got, as I'm killing right now, the last thing we got from Quentin Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. As right now, still Quentin Tarantino's latest movie, and yeah, I still love this movie. I still love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like, it's like Quentin Tarantino's one of the directors. I think all his movies are fantastic. I think that he's one of those. I don't think he's made a bad. I think all movies are great, honestly. To where it's hard to like pick like a true favorite of his, honestly. Well, I do know my favorites, honestly, but it's like hard to pick a true one. Like a true like dot on this resume. That's how great director he is, honestly. Well, Homicide Over definitely feels like it can be egregious at times, and his first fetish is definitely really known here. But as a whole, though, there's definitely a lot of fun aspects to here. Again, it's pretty much like a vibe movie, and it's honestly the perfect vibe movie, exploring the world of these characters. I think Captain Brad Pitt are fantastic here. I think the acting in general is great. I think we see a lot of fantastic moments, and it really feels like you are in the 60s, which is pretty incredible. Also, Margot Robbie was great here as well. And he even has an all-around great third act as well. That's cool. And overall, I did love these characters. And apparently, we're actually getting a sequel. We're going to follow Brad Pitt's character more adventures, but it's time to by David Fincher, if I remember correctly. So I'm curious to see what he does now, honestly. But yeah, Once Upon a Hollywood, fantastic movie. And now, Tarantino classic. And now we have two more movies from 2019 that I saw early. The first one to talk about is Terminator Dark Fate. Terminator Dark Fate. Which is definitely one of the ones here Terminator sequels on because of the first Humanist, but I think it's actually the best sequel in the Terminator franchise since the original. I am dead serious. But I hope the first two are still classics, obviously, but this is the best sequel at least. At least the one that feels the most focused. Feels like it actually has the most natural course correction and actually has more fun moments. And it's one of the sequels I actually do enjoy coming back to, actually. Of the sequels, this is the one I actually do enjoy coming back to the most. I think Lauren Hanton was great here. Arnold Schwarzenegger was great as well. I think the new characters, well, not the greatest, but still at least, watchable. Honestly. And for the sequels, this is one I was kind of curious to see, like, what actually would take it. And unfortunately, we're not get that fortunately, even though we don't get a new one. But yeah, it's still a good movie. And the last movie I saw is Doctor Sleep, the Shining sequel, which is a jolly fantastic movie. One of the best horror movies to come out in the 2010s, and it's a jolly fantastic sequel where Ewan McGregor give one of his best performances. Basically, be a proper continuation of The Shining while trying to do his own thing. Places like both audiences to love the original, but also want a different take on it. Most always Stephen King, honestly. It's fun that manages to leave both audiences on that sun. Even when artists is shining a little bit, it does it in a pretty effective way. It's scary, terrifying, and you want to touch the low. And the little girl kid is great as well. And also, Rebecca Ferguson has wrote to have one of the best villains of 2010s, bar none. One of the best horror villains, period. But Jesus. Yeah, that's a sleep, fantastic. Yeah. Now, during when COVID started, I probably started seeing the last screens last honestly, but of course that makes sense considering, COVID was a thing in 2020. I did only see one movie I got to see earlier, and that's a film called Chemical Hearts, which starring Austin Abrams and Lloyd Whiteheart. The actors give good performances. It's a film that overall I don't end up remember all that much. I've not rewatched it since it came out. Honestly, I forgot even all in before I actually did this video, honestly, so sorry. Okay, we got 4 more movies to talk about in this ranking. Again, so I'm just gonna basically just go through all these movies, honestly. Honestly, this one thing that basically the first one I'm talking about is actually the Batman. I gotta say it's actually like I don't remember if it was a few days or a week before it actually came out actually, but it was pretty awesome. I think the last movie I actually saw when I still lived in Florida actually, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. But Batman is fantastic. One of my favorite movies of all time. Definitely my second favorite Batman movie behind The Dark Knight. Rob Pattinson's great. The villains are great. It's a truly remarkable movie that doesn't feel like it drags that off by its runtime. And give me part 2, Matt Reeves. Get me in now. I'm kidding. Take your time. And I also got to see 3 other movies recently from going to like early movie screenings at the theater that's close by to where I live. So I'm gonna talk about them here. The first one is called Oh Hi, which is a romantic comedy that came out back in July actually, and one I actually do recommend checking out. Like it's from that feels very simple, honestly, just 2 people going on a road trip, and then some crazy shit happens. That's all I'm gonna leave it to it by. Some crazy shit happens. But the least that you have good comes from unexpected. It does have some weird moments, but the good weird. And it's overall a very, and it's also a little more satirical when it comes to romantic comedy. It's like it's still one of the better romantic comedies to come out in a long time. Even ends different than typical romantic comedy, that's all I'm gonna say. And then we have Eden, which is the latest Wrong How movie, another true story movie, by the way. Yeah, I've seen a lot of true stories movies actually. It's basically people on the side to live on an island, honestly, and the movies are the people. And overall, the acting was pretty good, honestly, and the visuals were pretty good, honestly. The directing was pretty solid. Yeah, Anthony Almas stole the show, in all her scenes. It just can't drag about too much, especially towards the third hour, honestly. And it's a film I don't really see myself watching again, but it's one I would recommend. It's definitely one of Ron Howard's better movies. And the last film I'm going to talk about for this video, as I'm filming this, is Newtonberg, which I think is from out till November, actually. Which in the film I seen once earlier, which again, funny about these screens is I had no idea what any of these films are before I walked into them. And basically, you guys know this is a film that's basically coming out next year, directed by James Vanderbilt, so it's Rami Malek and Russell Crowe. And it's probably based off of a mafia book by I suppose the guy honestly with all psychiatrist does Kelly as if it basically follows like the Newber trials honestly about a guy named about the guy named like Hendon Groding who basically is supposed to be like Hitler's right hand man. Yes, that Adolf Hitler. You know, and it's basically a trial and a battle where it's on, so he's trying to get into his head and everything. And it's actually, I found it a lot more compelling than expected. Again, similar to the last movie, I don't ever see myself watching the movie again, honestly, and it can drag at some points. But the other thing was actually on point, especially Russell Crowe. And Rami Malek does have some great moments as well. I think it's very well directed. I think the horror movies actually, while being too long, were pretty effective and pretty emotional. Like the acting in that scene was just exceptional. It ends in a very hard thing, honestly, because this is also another true story movie. But Newburgh's one I would definitely recommend checking out when it comes out in November. And now that I've finally done top all these movies, let's now rank all 45 of these movies. This is such a fun video to do, honestly. I hope you guys enjoyed me discussing about these movies as much as I did, honestly. Hope you guys enjoyed this type of video. And definitely a different type of video I've done, honestly. But it's been fun to look back at a lot of the movies that I got to see early. But yeah, we have 45 movies, so let's quickly get into my ranking. At number 45, I say Children's Course, because duh. Number 44, On the Wall Below Wars. Number 43, Triple X The Return in the Cage. Number 42, Baywatch. Number 41, Chemical Hearts, because I barely remember that movie. Number 40, Silence. Number 39, Ghost in the Shell. Number 38, Passengers. Number 37, King Arthur Legend of the Sword. Number 36, Rampage. Number 35, Tomb Raider. Number 34, Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation. Number 33, Eden. Number 32, Doctor Strange. Number 31, Nuremberg. Number 30, Yesterday. Number 29, Fantastic Beasts and Wildlife Fighter. Number 28, Dark Fate. Dark Fate. Number 27, Power Rangers. Number 26, Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle. Number 25, The Fate of the Furious. Number 24, Oh Hi. Number 23, Shazam. Number 22, Homecoming. Number 21, Blockers. Number 20, Long Shot. Number 19, Only the Brave. Number 18, Bumblebee. Number 17, Rocket Man. Number 16, Deadpool 2. Number 15, Love Simon. Number 14, Get Out. Number 13, John Wick 2. Number 12, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Number 11, Booksmart. Number 10, How to Train Your Dragon in the World. Number 9, A Monster Calls. Number 8, Guardians Volume 2. Number 7, Patriots Day. Number 6, The Edge 17. Number 5, Doctor Sleep. Number 4, The Batman. Number 3, Arrival. Number 2, La La Land. And number 1, 8th grade. Again, I do plan to make 8th grades on dedicated videos. Stay tuned for that coming very soon. But I hope you enjoyed the ranking. Let me know your thoughts on these movies down below in the comment section. Let me know what are your favorite and least favorite movies you got to see at earlier screenings or at festivals. I would love to know that down in the comment section. I have one more side videos coming very soon. I am Cinema World Cinema Productions. I will see you next time as always. Stay cool up at there. Peace. Speaking of underrated films, we now got another one with Rocket Man. I'm a rocket man. Yeah, we have Rocket Man, which is a biopic on Elton John, played by Taron Egerton, who obviously was not the right choice, obviously, because, you know, he actually voiced singing Elton John's song at the movie Sing, which but like, oh yeah, it's kind of like Elton John the biopic, and that's kind of what happened. And honestly, I was haunted or not, but I love his performance here more than Rami Malek's performance in Bohemian Rhapsody, which I'm not sure how much haunted that is, but I think he was definitely the better biopic performance. That's what I'm trying to say. They actually really own Elton John, and like how the way the film is structured and everything, all that stuff. Like Taron Egerton proved when he ran material, he can act his ass off. You brings out how it gets one of her best performance in this movie, honestly. Like there's some scenes where it's just like, damn. But the musical stuff is great. The songs, of course, Elton John's sort of stuff fantastic. The way it's directed is very unique and fun. It's just a really unique experience that. And unfortunately, I feel this movie's gotten slept on recently. But I thought Rocket Man is a movie that I think everyone should check out.